Greetings, Mick McQuaid here, welcoming you once again to day one, week one, day one of iste780. This is, roughly the third video of the day, and in this one I'd like to talk to you a little bit about the R language. And if we're going to talk about the R language, the very first thing that we should probably do is talk about getting R. So how would we get R? Well, here, let me Google that for you. I'm just going to Google the letter R and look at all the choices it gives me. I'm just going to go with R though. And the very first hit is what I'm looking for, R, the R project for statistical computing. As a matter of fact, the very first page is pretty much all about R. Yeah, all of these are about the R programming language. So R is popular enough that it works out. Not every letter is like that. So this is the URL that we want to go to, but it is worth keeping in mind that you can just Google the letter R and you can find things like Quick R is a great resource. RStudio is the IDE that most beginners use. I don't use it, but you may very well use it at least for a while. Excuse me. There are plenty of good R resources shown here. This is the current R logo right here. So these are all worth checking out. But let's take a look at this one first. And the first thing that we are going to want to look at is this very first paragraph here that says to download R, choose your preferred CRAN mirror. CRAN is the Comprehensive R Archive Network, and that is the method by which we'll get all of our R packages that we'll use during the semester. And it's intentional that this is similar to CTAN or CPAN or various other archive networks. Its architecture is similar to the archive networks that exist for other languages. So I'm going to click on to download R, and it's going to offer me a choice of mirror sites. And I currently have I already have R installed, and I currently have have it set to Michigan Tech because I used to live in Michigan and I'm too lazy to change it. Most of these are fast. Let's just take a quick look at RIT. RIT has mirrors.rit.edu, and I'm just curious. Yeah, it does have a CRAN site here, and it was most recently updated today. So CRAN at RIT is an acceptable. I have no idea why that happened. So there's various junk there, but I'm going to just go to the site that I already. Well, actually, you know what I often use. In fact, probably one of my favorite sites would be Carnegie Mellon's. Carnegie Mellon's uses up-to-date hardware. But I should say mirrors.rit.edu not only uses extremely up-to-date hardware, it's a very fast piece of machinery, and it's also Internet 2 connected. So I have both R for Linux and R for Mac. If I click on R for Mac, it's going to offer me the package which I have on this machine, the machine I'm using here. 3.3.0. Every R release has a name, and that name is usually something sarcastic or silly or not very important. But in any event, this is a binary package, so I can just download this and run this on my Mac, which I do, which I have. And in fact, I'm going to open it now, and you can see it's pretty new. Let me see where I can find it here. And I'm going to double click on it, and this should give you some amusement because it will crash the first time I open it. This has happened every time that I've opened it. Oh, it didn't crash this time. Okay, so generally it crashes and then I have to reopen it. So here it did not crash. So here's what happened. Here's what I get on my Mac after I've done the install. I also can run it from the command line. Now, when I say this is R, I mean this is the R REPL or the R read evaluate print loop or the R read evaluate process loop or the R REPL. Lots of languages have an REPL like Python and Lisp and so on. An environment in which we can type something in and get some result back. So that's typical of interpreted languages, that they have that. So R is an interpreted language, and it has this. Of course, we can just write programs in R and run them. We can run R in a terminal window as well. And the most important thing to know about R is how to get out of it, which is to type Q, open paren, close paren, which I'm going to type right now. And it's going to ask me if I want to save workspace image, and I don't want to save workspace image. I'm going to open it again and see if it'll crash this time. No? Okay, and then it's really tiny type from my perspective. I can't work with type this tiny, so I'm just going to enlarge it. And the way that I'm enlarging it is by pressing the command, holding down the command key on the Mac, which is the cloverleaf key, and pressing the plus sign, and that enlarges it a bit. So you can see that there are a number of things that you can get to start out with. You can see demos, help. I think there's also a demo of graphics. It's just graphics. And you'll notice that after each of these words is an open paren, close paren, and that's because each of these are functions, and we'll talk a lot about functions because that's how R gets things done, is the use of functions. So functions end with a pair of parentheses, and optionally you can type stuff inside the parentheses to modify how the function is going to work. Oh, at the top here, before I ditch this, I'm going to just point out that there are a bunch of little resources here. The most important one by far is this one that shows your command history, and you can just click on one of these previous commands, and it'll appear over here, and you can run it. And you can see that you have various commands for dealing with the command history. This particular command history is just in my home directory, and it's not reflective of the command history that I usually use. Some of this stuff looks quite old, in fact, because R saves its command history in the directory that you're working in. And I generally don't work in the home directory, so I generally don't start R this way. So I generally don't use this particular command history. But you can load and save the command history, clear the history, and do all kinds of stuff with the history to make your life easier. And there are other things that you can do. You can change the colors. You can change some aspects of the interface. You can interrupt the current. If you make a mistake, you can interrupt the current R computation, load or save, or excuse me, just load data or load a script into it, and do various things with graphics. Excuse me. So that's it for this. I'm just going to quit out of this for now and show you a couple of other things. Oh, I should do this from the, so I'm going to click on this. If I double click this, it goes over here. So I'll quit, and again it asks me if I want to save the workspace image, which I don't want to do typically. Okay, now this website from which I suggest you get R, and of course you can also get, in addition to getting R for Mac, you can get it for various flavors of Linux here, and you can also get it for Windows here. This is probably how a lot of you will do it the first time. So you can get these binary packages that are very fast to set up and very easy to set up. You can also, if you prefer, you can always download source and compile from source. And there are plenty of resources here. And the biggest resource is the Comprehensive R Archive Network. But there's all kinds of stuff on this website, manuals, frequently asked questions, all sorts of interesting and useful stuff that you can get here. So you should browse around this page and familiarize yourself with it a little bit. Now, what kinds of resources will we use in this class? Well, of course, our textbook has a section on R in each chapter, and it has a bunch of uses a bunch of data sets, and uses a package that we will download later with all different data sets for the exercises. And in fact, it has most of the data sets that we need, except for a couple that also show you how to get. Well, this one is just there. It's already, once you've downloaded and installed R, the US arrest data set is present on your system. And this one is part of one of the most basic libraries that we'll load in. I think I mentioned in a previous video that ISLR is the popular name for our textbook, Introduction to Statistical Learning with Applications in R. So we can get the ISLR library. Now, I recognize that probably the most popular resource for all purposes related to computing is the ever-popular copying and pasting from Stack Overflow. So I expect that you'll do that. Another resource, though, that is a little less jocular that I'm actually going to use is this R in a Nutshell. And I like this book. I like this whole series of books. And in particular, I think that this chapter 3, a short R tutorial, is useful. And you can go through some basic operations in R. It suggests that you take a look at chapters 1 and 2. I'm not sure that you really need this. This is sort of your own call, whether you need stuff that's this basic. I suspect that you can start just with this short R tutorial. And I'm actually going to go through this short R tutorial in the next, or one of these upcoming videos. Thanks for your attention, and I'll hope to talk to you again soon.